Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got something incredibly exciting and honestly super practical lined up for you. We are going to dive into a masterclass on building a successful organization completely from the ground up, all based on Dave Ramsey's book, EntreLeadership. Now, if you're looking for some dry, theoretical, research-heavy business lecture, well, this definitely isn't it. What we're looking at today is a real-world playbook drawn straight from decades of leading, building, and, quite frankly, just surviving the grueling trenches of business. We're going to unpack exactly what it takes to grow a venture, lead a team with genuine passion, and actually enjoy the process along the way. Okay, let's dive right into this, because to truly understand the absolute heights of business success, we have to start by acknowledging the chaotic, messy reality of failure. So, have you ever been broken? Have you ever set out to live your dream, invested literally every ounce of who you are, emotionally, financially, physically, only to watch the whole thing hit a brick wall and just completely disintegrate? That is the terrifying reality for so many business owners, and it is exactly where this story begins. Picture this. By his mid-20s, Dave Ramsey had built this massive real estate empire out of absolutely nothing. He had a net worth of over $4 million. But because that empire was built heavily on debt, a sudden shift in the banking landscape caused the entire thing to just collapse. He faced multiple foreclosures, brutal lawsuits, and ultimately total bankruptcy, which left him a broken man trying to provide for a young family. So the crucial takeaway here is that his subsequent massive success later in life wasn't born out of some lucky break. It was built squarely on this intense foundation of complete surrender and total failure. Section 1, Wisdom from the Trenches, Learning the Hard Way. The insights we're breaking down today are not abstract theories cooked up in a lab. They are intensely practical lessons forged through actual experience. And that brings us to this amazing concept. Wisdom equals knowledge plus scars. It's such a powerful reminder that success in any area of your life, but especially in business, is not an accident. It comes from intuitive learning, and often learning the proverbial hard way. The principles we're going to explore today are dotted with real blood, sweat, and tears. They are completely battle-tested. Moving on to Section 2, Defining the EntreLeader, Merging Passion and Discipline. At the heart of any growing company is this fundamental tension between the wild, untamed energy of an entrepreneur and the calm, steady discipline of a leader. Just take a look at these characteristics for a second. Risk-taker, visionary, passionate. These are fantastic traits. These are the sparks that bring a new business into existence. But if you really stop and think about it, trying to manage a whole building full of pure entrepreneurs, that would be an absolute nightmare. It would be like herding cats or trying to nail Jell-O to a tree. It's just too wild. On the flip side, though, standard corporate leaders can sometimes be a bit too refined and slow-moving for a dynamic, growing business. Therefore, a new hybrid is required. EntreLeadership is formally defined as the process of leading to cause a venture to grow and prosper. It's this perfect kind of elusive formula that takes the out-of-the-box creativity and unyielding passion of a startup and beautifully blends it with the refined, mature discipline of actual leadership. You really need both of those elements to guide a growing team. But hey, before you can lead anyone else, you've got to look in the mirror. Enter the law of the lid. You are the limitation of your company. I know this is a really tough pill to swallow, but it's a necessary one. If your business is struggling right now, or if there's constant drama on your team, the source is likely at the top. The organization's strengths are your personal strengths, and its weaknesses are your personal weaknesses. The quirky brilliance of a founder can only take a company so far before the leaders themselves actually have to grow up. All right, Section 3, Power versus Persuasion, Pushing versus Pulling the Rope. Let's talk about the actual mechanics of how you wield influence. Let me paint a picture for you here. We've all encountered the fries Nazi at a fast food joint, right? You know the guy, the teenager who's been on the job exactly 1 week longer than everyone else. So management gives him a shiny 25-cent an hour raise and puts him in charge of the French fry station. Suddenly, he's barking orders and completely abusing his team. That right there is positional power. He has power simply because of his title, and he uses it to boss people around. Truth is, any idiot can be a boss. Now, what's really interesting here is the clear contrast. On one side, you have the boss. They lead with positional power, threats, and fear. Honestly, it's like trying to push a rope. We all know that goes absolutely nowhere. On the other side, though, you have the EntreLeader. They understand that true power actually comes from persuasion. They take the time to explain the why behind the work, They pull the rope. So, if you want mere employees, sure, just boss them around. But if you want a dedicated, fired-up team, you have to lead through persuasion. This brings us to Section 4, fanatical integrity and culture, treating your team right. You simply cannot attract and retain high-quality talent if you mistreat them. It really just boils down to the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. When someone deserves praise, give it to them. When they need training, provide it. And crucially, compensate them fairly. Never, ever miss payroll. In fact, if times are incredibly tough, it is far better to lay people off than to have them work hard only for their checks to bounce. You've got to be transparent, and you must be caught caring about your team personally. Knowing their families, understanding their dreams, and actually being there for them. That is exactly how you build unmatched, fierce loyalty. And let me tell you, that integrity must be fanatical and it must be consistent. Think about it. If you react the exact same way every single time, you don't even have to put your company values in a fancy brochure because your team sees them lived out every single day. Predictability in your core values is a literal superpower. The more consistent you become on matters of principle, the easier it becomes to delegate. Why? Because your team already knows exactly what you would do just by watching your consistent example over time. And finally, Section 5, the art of delegation, giving the right amount of rope. As your business starts to scale, you literally cannot do everything yourself. You have to hand over responsibilities, which, let's be honest, can be terrifying for a founder. President Ronald Reagan famously said, "Surround yourself with the best people you can find, delegate authority, and don't interfere." This wonderfully validates the ultimate end goal of delegation. You really want to get to a place of non-interference. However, and this is a big however, as the source materials strictly warns, you cannot just blindly hand over the keys on day one without some sort of system in place. So let's see how this builds out into a practical framework. Step 1. Don't toss the keys immediately. You wouldn't hand a teenager the keys to a sports car without hours of supervised practice, right? Step 2. Inspect what you expect. You are always holding your end of the rope, monitoring for integrity and competency. And Step 3. Give freedom that matches their proven ability. As they prove they understand the company culture and can actually execute, you lengthen their rope. But you never surrender 100% of the oversight, because honestly, that's just leadership laziness. But you absolutely must remember this critical warning. Responsibility without authority is an explosive shell. If you assign a team member the responsibility to manage a huge project, but you flat out refuse to give them the actual authority to make decisions on the ground, well, it's a glaring signal that you don't actually trust their integrity or their competency. And if you don't trust them, it means your company has outgrown the quality of its team. And that is a massive red flag for your future. So we arrive at the ultimate question you really have to ask yourself today. Are you just a boss, relying on your fancy title to push people around? Or are you actively becoming an EntreLeader, someone who masterfully merges the fiery passion of an entrepreneur with the persuasive, disciplined, and high-integrity nature of a true leader? The choice is entirely up to you, and the health of your business absolutely depends on your answer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I challenge you to go out there and make a real difference in the way you do business.